Let's jump to the story from the Daily Mail. Refund the police. Portland finally launches crackdown on crime after defunding the police by $15 million as it hires more district attorneys and investigators to tackle spiraling car and retail theft. All right. How long until you think it is until liberals start saying, we were always in support of the police? It's the conservatives that hated police.
Well, they want to refund the police. I hope they kept the receipt because I think a lot of those cops ain't coming back. You drive them out of their jobs. You make it as difficult as possible for them to do it.
This was their plan the whole time.
Yep.
They got all the conservative-leaning cops to quit, and now that none of them would touch the departments with a 10-foot pole, they're going to hire only the people who support their crackpot ideas.
Between that and COVID, between the vaccine mandates and all the other things that changed the force out of this. Kim Fox in Chicago, big prosecutor, wouldn't prosecute Jussie Smollett, was a Soros-funded DA, which I know you're not supposed to say, but that is just a fact.
How dare you?
Now she's not running for a re-election. I think we're going to see a shift here, and part of the shift I would imagine is because they got to get this shift going before 2024 because this is a winning issue for the Republicans.
Yes, but the cops are going to be pro-Antifa now. We've already seen it happen. And there's a video of a guy backing away from Antifa and they're threatening him with weapons and the cops grab the victim and arrest him.
Wow.
Maybe I don't know the full context, but it's a guy backing up saying, get away from me. And then the cop apologizes to an Antifa woman. So, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Well, they got to be, man, because if they're bringing these police officers back in these blue areas, these cops are risking their livelihoods by just doing their jobs. If they get charged for arresting the wrong person by one of these liberal DAs,
until
they get dragged through the media, they're going to get charged. They're going to get convicted. They're going to get thrown in jail. So they got to be on the same side. They have to be politically aligned.
What happens when Portland says, all right, we're going to be hiring 500 new cops and all the applicants are Antifa? I'm not kidding. They're gonna be the ones to show up and be like, yes, I'll be a cop. And then basically a far left extremist gang puts on the badge and can go around doing whatever they want with government sanction.
It's definitely possible. Part of me hopes that their ideology would select against it. I understand that they don't have principles, but they hate cops so much that you think that would get them pushed out of their social circles.
Nope. They'd be like, they'll have a direct action meeting and they'll say, we're going to take over the department. We're going to take those badges and then we'll control it. They're going to go, yay. Just like when the BLM activists cheered for the police arresting the guy from his own home. They say the police are bad and then they go and call the cops and cheer for them when the cops show up.
Yep.
They're posting on Twitter, arrest them, arrest these people. They want that power.
I thought you were about to say that. Wait, what happens when they're all trans? I thought that was where we were going with it, but
a lot of them would be. Right. That's the thing about the ideology. No, have you seen? There was I think James Lindsay posted this. They're already wearing rainbow armbands.
Oh man!
What? And I'm like, this is really weird.
Everything's changing. Yeah.
Or it's changing, but in many ways staying the same. It's like history rhyming. It's not a red armband, it's a rainbow armband, but it basically represents the same kind of authoritarian pressures.
They just got all the colors covered.
That's right.
The rainbow, yeah.
So they're all the entire spectrum of authoritarianism in one armband.
Yep. It exists on a spectrum, Tim.
I mean, it does. But yeah, I guess the issue was Portland's been collapsing. I think, what is it? They had like a famous restaurant shut down because the crime is so bad. There's like a bunch of cafes are shutting down. I don't know what they thought was going to happen or what any of these cities thought was going to happen. And so for me, I'm kind of like, good, I don't care.
Yeah.
But the problem is the aftermath.
Yeah.
When they start hiring far left extremists, we're seeing this story of the mass exodus from California. And we're like, haha, look at that. Moderate and right-leaning people are fleeing and going to Florida and Texas. And it's like, yeah, you know what that means, right? Many of them are probably cops. Many of them worked in government law enforcement, things like that. Now the left is going to open up those positions and make appointments of far left extremists into those seats of government. California may lose a lot of people, but now they're going to create a lot of far left extremists in positions of authority and power.
Yeah. Yeah, the good ones. I mean, I'm in Texas myself, and it's a big story right now. Obviously, of people coming. It's like you're right. The good ones are coming, right? The ones who are open to coming to Texas, open to coming to Tennessee or wherever. Then you get left with even bluer in some cases. Obviously, it's going to make Texas a little bit more purple than it was. I mean, I'm in Dallas, so it's already pretty 50-50 red blue. But yeah, what's the effect going to be in the LA and San Francisco, which is already just struggling beyond belief. We barely get coverage of it.
There's this crazy video I saw today where it's a homeless guy in San Diego who's got a tent and he's got a knife It looks like some kind of like buck knife. And he's screaming how he's going to kill a woman, some random woman. And then he just stabs the wall as hard as he can. It's kind of nothing happens, but he's screaming. The dude filming is like, every day he does this. He's going to kill somebody, and like the cops won't do anything.
Oh my God.
Why would they? What are they going to do about it? What are they going to do? Show up and arrest the guy, and then they just open the door and let him go again? Yeah. It's a cultural and social decay.
Yeah.
That's it. I wonder, I got to be honest, what's causing all of the mental issues that surround homelessness? Not every homeless person is mentally ill.
No.
Some of them are vagabonds by choice. But a lot of these people you see sleeping on the city streets, there's something wrong upstairs. What's causing this spike? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's probably a combination of mental health issues and also drug policy.
Yeah, it's that also. I mean, look, man is not living the way he is meant to live in this society, and that produces negative outcomes physically and mentally.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I saw your tweet today about kids. What's causing people that are young people to
I tweeted
not want to be who they are. I mean, this is a huge problem.
Well, I was just thinking about it in a general sense. I tweeted, we need to start asking ourselves why young people are so desperate to be someone else instead of themselves.
Yep.
And it's gotten like 9,000 retweets or whatever. The funny thing, though, is the left response is immediately talking about trans issues.
Right. It's beyond that.
And I was just like, I was speaking generally. Kids wanting to be a famous YouTuber, like wanting to be Mr. Beast or whatever. My point is this. Some people have latched on that and been like, every child looks up to somebody and wants to do that. Or blah, blah, blah. No. Look, I am outright saying, why are there people who are dyeing their skin? Why are there people who are trans? Why are there people who are trans species? Why are there people who create fake personas? Why are there people who use different names? Why don't they just want to develop who they are? And someone responded to me, a conservative person was like, it's normal for kids to want to be someone else. And then I'm just like, is that a projection? Because when I was a kid, I didn't want to be anybody else. That didn't exist in my mind. I just was what I was. There's a viral video from a show called The Good Doctor, where it's a show about an autistic doctor. I've never seen it. And the patient is a transgender little boy who has testicular cancer. And you find that out at the end of the scene. But he says something like, he's autistic. So he's like, you're a boy because you have XY chromosomes, not XX. And then the kid says, how did you know you were supposed to be a boy other than other than biology? And he goes, that's your question makes no sense. I'm not supposed to be anything. I am a boy. And I was like, that's a perfect line. You're not supposed to be anything. You're supposed to be who you are, what you are. Yeah. Why are people so desperate, young people so desperate to not be themselves?
I mean, a lot of the mechanisms that we have for self-discovery and for emotional development and social development have gone by the wayside. You know, we don't go outside and play anymore as kids. Yeah. We don't really interact. Everything that we do is on an app. It's through social media. We're filtered through these programs that have algorithms that shape our world, and they're programmed to reward you and give you a dopamine hit based on certain triggers. Yeah. So our entire society has shifted from something that allows you to be able to grow and have that self-discovery process and figure out who you are and reward you for being an individual and just being yourself, to making you want. And again, these children are impressionable. Your brain doesn't fully form and develop until you're 25. So we have this group of millions of kids who don't go through this process, and their entire life experience is geared toward wanting to please an algorithm, which is essentially making you want to be what you see on the screen instead of figuring out who the hell you are.
Absolutely.
They're getting plastic surgery to look like Snapchat filters. Young women are developing fake Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah.
Because they want to emulate what they see on these apps.
And yet, social contagion with respect to transgenderism is completely dismissed. There are kids who are literally pretending to have Tourette's. There has not been some massive uptick in Tourette's, and yet when you see a massive uptick in gender confusion, that couldn't possibly be social contagion. They were always that way, and now society allows them to say it.
But it may not be pretending. They may actually
social contagion doesn't mean pretending. Yeah,
right. They're pretending to be Tourette's. Some of these young women are actually developing a social issue, and they're getting Tourette's syndrome from watching prominent Tourette's personalities.
Well, some of it's also coming from inside the home too. We talk a lot about fatherless homes, but there's a piece that I wrote for Timcastnews.com.
It's actually just Timcast.com.
well, Timcast.com, my bad.
Actually, is it?
But you have to check the name of your own website.
Well, we might have bought that other.
He's got a lot going on. Yeah,
we might have bought the other URL.
There was a study from 1994 that just resurfaced that found that 53% of mothers of boys who identify as trans have their own psychological issues, including depression and borderline personality disorder. So it's not even just social contagion. I think is a large part of it, but some of this is being directed from within these children's own homes because their parents have their own issues that they haven't sorted out
yet. And that's even before social media, right? 1994. I mean, I agree with you. I think social media is a huge factor, and not just because of the incentives of it, but because you go from maybe you grew up wanting to be famous or you wanted to be, successful, but now you want to be special, and you're doing it in a way that is performative. It's public in a way that never existed before. I mean, I whether it's the media, whether it's kids growing up, the incentives of getting feedback from friends, from family, from fans in the moment, it's very hard to. I can't even imagine growing up in a society where you are living in public and you have in your mind the potential of, is this the thing that's going to make me famous or special? And you're doing it on Instagram, you're doing it on all these platforms that have that ability.
And then you're also doing it with all these the normal pressures that you have with being a kid and being at school and dealing with things. And even when it comes to bullying and the normal things that you would just go through in elementary school and junior high and high school, there's not an off switch anymore because of these platforms. You go home, you're still dealing with it online through DMs, through other people tweeting and TikToking and sharing your post. It never goes away. So we have an entire culture that's sick right now. And again, when we talk about things like school shootings, this is part of the reason. We've created a culture that is completely ill and needs a little bit of reformation. We've taken God out of people's lives. Amen. We've taken the meaning out of people's lives by devaluing the family structure and what role family should play in our lives. And all of it has an impact, and it's all playing out in these really weird ways as we sit here and scratch our heads trying to figure out what's going on because we're too afraid, not us, but in general, people are afraid to address the real issues.
Yeah. Well, I think another massive problem is just how much we have forgotten what nature is in and of itself. So wealth allows you to insulate yourself from nature. And it's also allowed us to insulate ourselves from our own nature. We think of it as something external. That's nature. It's out there. But you're a human being. You also have a nature to you. And so not only do we not know how to combat the threats that exist in the outside world we've insulated ourselves from, we have actually forgotten how to combat the elements of our own nature that are nefarious.
I'm reminded of that scene in the movie Snatch. You guys ever see that one with
Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt's in it. Who else is in it? Jason Statham's in it. There's a lot of people that are in it. And there's that scene where Jason Statham is with his buddy, and then his buddy says, like, you can't drink milk because it's out of sync with evolution. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, humans didn't evolve to drink milk. They adapted it later, so it's not properly attuned to like our bodies and digestion. You shouldn't drink it. And I'm thinking about that as it pertains to modern social media. Humans, this technology is out of sync with evolution. Humans survived by being certain ways, like community, family, things like that. We certainly want to do away with bad things and keep hold on to the good things and the good ideas. But now we have this machine that is feeding us a feedback loop of dopamine hits and other psychotic garbage, and it's making young people literally go insane.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think, it's been a problem longer than this, but COVID made it worse. I think that the after effects of COVID, I've got this theory, this column I'm thinking about, which is that basically COVID explains everything over the last couple of years. I think, whether it's January 6th or anything, I think that there's so much of what is the after effect of those insane year and a half, 2 years. I mean, in some people's cases, people that I know, it remains to this day that it will have permanent damage on our culture, that in ways that I don't think we even fully comprehend, that in disrupting the nature of what we were supposed to be doing, of what we're supposed to, of how we're supposed to live. And yet we all went along with this for, some people longer than others.
I think the disintegration of the family may be the worst apocalyptic scenario people don't realize.
Of course.
When we talk about, zombies, meteor strikes, World War III, it's like, dude, families breaking up could be worse than all of those things.
No, it is, because the family is the most foundational building block of any social structure. It's all built atop the family.
If I feel like because there's no communal family structure, you end up with rampant crime. My neighbor doesn't know me, doesn't care about me. I am meaningless to their existence, so why not exploit that? You end up with crime going crazy in these cities.
Yeah, exactly. Well, part of the beauty of family and part of the beauty, again, of what is built into us, what is built into our own nature, is the people closest to us are people we are literally biologically hardwired to want to fight for and protect in a way that we are not strangers. You can have a very good-hearted police officer who genuinely cares about you and who's even well-trained. He is not going to have the same internal motivations to fight for you the way that your brother or your father will. And what we've attempted to do, because we've forgotten our nature, is try to universalize the protection of one another. Well, we'll just build a great big system that does it, and we won't have to rely on these connections. It doesn't work. I'm not saying that having a legal system doesn't work, that having police departments doesn't work, but what I am saying is the thing that works the best is the family, in the family unit. And we've tried to outsource so much of what it does best that we're just failing at all of those things. And now people don't even end up, having families anymore, or close connections to them, because they believe they can rely on these institutions instead, and they don't end up getting the same results.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.